The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And joining me today is Thomas Sanjurjo. Hey, Thomas.
Hey, Dom.
So as we record and as the show releases, it's nearly Halloween. It's one of my favorite days of the year. I have to say, I really love Halloween, not just because it's my birthday, but because it is one of the last remaining truly communal events in a lot of places. I love to give out candy on Halloween, to see kids come to my door, say hello to their parents. Like in the Boston area, like you almost never see your neighbors, except on Halloween. Everyone comes to your house.
Everybody's out. Yeah.
I love it. I really do. So yeah,
I've been really this new neighborhood we're in. It's almost like a fight for the biggest lawn ornament that you can have. So we had a bunch of 12-foot vampires and skeletons out.
Yeah.
And then the guy blew up the 20-foot tall skeleton inflatable. And it was like, oh, wow, this is intense.
I saw this is where I'm getting Firefield. I saw on YouTube some guy had a blow up Rudolph for Christmas that was so tall. He was like 6 feet tall. He could walk under it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, Melanie, we're getting that. She's like, we are not.
No. Where you even store it now?
You'd have to put a blinking light on top to ward off the planes. Anyway, but because it's Halloween and it's the spooky season, we said, let's do an episode about spooky tech nightmares, real life tech nightmares. And it's, it's not just, to scare you, but we'll have some practical takeaways from all of these that we should all consider. And it's no surprise that several of them have to do with ransomware and security breaches. In fact, all of these have to do with some kind of security breach. And so just to get it out there ahead of time. But our first one is an incident that happened in May 2021 in Ireland. The health service executive, that's the national healthcare system in Ireland, the healthcare executive had a ransomware attack, and it came to light in May of 2021. But when they looked into it, it looked like it got breached back in March of 2021. They figured they were in this system for 8 weeks, and it basically took down the whole system. I think they have like 54 hospitals. They in many cases they couldn't access the patient records. They were having to use pen and paper records to keep track of things. This was during COVID, so the COVID testing system was briefly down. People had to go to clinics instead of making appointments by phone and all kinds of stuff like that. And so it was scary. And then it took them about, I think they said 4 months to recover completely. But even like a month after, they still had like a quarter of the systems were still infected. One of the big things was that they opted not to pay. They didn't pay the ransomware. And so they had to decrypt and recover themselves. So let's start there. We can get into the details of like how it happened, all that sort of stuff as we talk about it. But what do you think of this one?
This one's really interesting because this one's a very sophisticated attack because it's not scripting. It's written in C. The ransomware was very detailed. It was methodical, and that's that's kind of the tell that this is much more professional than just your average bear hacker.
Wasn't 19-year-old kid in his mom's basement.
Exactly. Yeah. It wasn't just like, oh, we're going to change your website. It was get in, slowly start to test the waters, see what you can do, expand out, and start to really do it so that nobody notices what you've done until it's too late. And those are the really scary ones, because there's not much you can do about it. And without a really good security agent that's paying attention to small changes, and this is the thing that's like, if you're going to become a professional hacker, you've got to get good at boiling the frogs, right? Where you go in and you just turn the heat up slowly, a bit at a time, so that you don't get noticed and that whatever you're doing seems normal. It seems like, oh, this is a behavior we expect.
It's like the two different kinds of like jewelry thieves or art thieves, right? There's the slow, methodical one who sneaks in, who, bribes a employee and, sneaks in the middle of the night, is undetected. And then there's the kind that rent a truck, smash, with a ladder, smash the window at the Louvre, run in, grab a bunch of stuff and run out. Like,
exactly.
Yep. And and this is the former. This was the very slow, methodical, sneaky. And when they did the postmortem on this, when they went and looked back at what had happened and why, some patterns emerged. They said that the entire National Cybersecurity Center for Ireland had only 25 employees and a budget of 5 million euros a year. They had no dedicated office, like they were just distributed, like this, work from home. And they hadn't had a director for over a year because the salary they were offering was 89,000 euros a year for the national cybersecurity director for an entire country. Yeah. No wonder they were vulnerable.
You're always going to pay on the back end. It's right. You might think it's really expensive to hire somebody that's good at their job now, but you can't afford not to. That's really what it comes down to.
Right. And even then it was under the Department of Environment, Climate and Communications instead of now it's under the Department of Justice. It's now seen as a preventative law enforcement function, which it should be. So what I find interesting, it was one of the tools that was used. So there's the Conti ransomware. So Conti is a known bit of ransomware that's out there that's used. That's the tool that basically, encrypts everything. But they would also use some commercial tools, one called Cobalt Strike, or from a company called Cobalt Strike. Do you know anything about that?
It's sort of like it's a red team operation. So it's kind of like meant to simulate an attack. And so it exists to, like, it's imagine having a training dummy, and that's kind of what they did, was just throw a training dummy in there to do some random testing. And the funny thing is that you can start off with some of these really simple things. And this is why if you've ever been annoyed at your company sending out the spear phishing emails and you're upset about, they got me, or they send you one of the nasty grams afterwards, like, you shouldn't have clicked this link. The reason for that is because the original vector for this was spear phishing and remote desktop protocol, which is essentially just, they called the right person, said, hey, there's something wrong with your computer, we were going to check it out, here's how we're going to do it. And they may have even dropped this thing as their first attempt to see what exactly they could get away with. And then because it feeds back information and kind of tells you the vectors of attack, so that ideally, if you're on the red team, the hackers that are hacking for good, you can tell the blue team how to protect themselves. Well, if you just drop this in a system and nobody's on the blue team paying attention to what's going on, you get a whole bunch of information back that says, here's how we're going to now actually infect the thing. Right.
We've used a couple of terms. I want to make sure we define it for folks. So spear phishing is an attempt to test whether people will do unsecure things. Like a phishing attack is where someone sends you an email, it purports to be from something, and instead it's trying to get you to click on something, open something that is going to make your system insecure, that's going to hack you. And so spear phishing is a test. It's testing you. It's your IT department saying, hey, have you been paying attention to our training that you're not supposed to open these links? And so it's that sort of thing. So, and we actually talked about last week's episode, about a study that found that phishing training doesn't work. people who've been through training and people who haven't been through training still do the totally insecure thing at the same rates, which is depressing. Now, red team and blue team. So companies or agencies or whoever who are trying to be responsible with their cybersecurity will either have a group of people in their IT department or hire an outside company to try to hack their system. So like, hey, you're the good guys. We're paying you. Show us where the vulnerabilities in our cybersecurity are. And so they're called the red team. They're doing the things that the bad guys would do. And the blue team is the IT guys on the inside who are trying to secure the wall. So, the cyber wall. So it's, to kind of make folks aware. And this was, according to the Wikipedia article, a malicious Microsoft Excel file. So probably had a malicious macro in it. Mm-hmm. The classic, Word, Office macro that infects your system. And
they can look pretty serious too, as if they had gotten in originally, or even just we have this invoice that we need to send you, and they knew, like, it's not hard to find out who the finance person is for an organization like this, and say, well, we have this invoice we need to send you. If you could please open it up and validate. Even just opening it up can be enough, but then you can even, with the spear phishing, you can just say, could you open it up and validate the value in cell XXX? And then they go in and boom, there it is. It runs the macro, and a macro in an Excel spreadsheet can essentially do anything. Like you can make it run any kind of program you want. And if you're not paying attention to the pop-ups when they pop up and you just click yes, because you're trying to get through something really fast, that can be very dangerous.
Right. And the scary part here is that it's healthcare systems. These are, this is life and death. These sorts of places, people's cancer treatments were affected. And, we don't know, like the news they didn't report, like they didn't know of anyone who particularly died as a result of this. I mean, people could die because of a cyber attack, depending on what happens, but not in this case. But people's health was affected. Their ability to get health care for critical things was affected. And that's what's scary. And because it was vulnerable, these critical infrastructures are still vulnerable. And the weak point in all of this, in fact, in most of I think in all of the stories we're going to talk about today, are the people. It's not necessarily the computers. The computers could have been hardened. They could have been better at catching things. But the initial attack succeeds because a person did something they shouldn't do. And that's really the scary part.
And it's interesting because you look at some of the findings that come out of this, and as much as they want to say, well, it was these complicated systems, and they really lay the blame on the fact that there was no dedicated cybersecurity person. And I have to agree, like whatever systems they were using, the fact that they were able to say without a dedicated cybersecurity or IT person, the fact that they were able to say, no, we're not going to pay, we're going to fix it. And then within a year, they were back online. Within a year, they were back to fully
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. That's,
they were back to
80%
within a month. So
yeah, that's absolutely incredible to me. There are not many companies with a dedicated cybersecurity IT team that could do that.
Right.
So whatever they had set up previous to hiring a person was pretty darn good. And they do need to be paying that person more when they get a new person in that role. Well,
in fact, what I see that they actually reached out to McAfee and FireEye, two American cybersecurity firms, to do the cleanup. So basically, they mitigated the damage, then monitored for the leaked data, the dark web for the leaked data. And so, a lot of the credit goes, but I'm sure it didn't come cheap. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. No.
So the reports were that, either like with a demand of 16.5 million euros, although there was initially reports that it was just 124,000 euros. My guess is, given who they think was doing this, which is a Russian hacker criminal gang, it was probably on the high end. Is my guess.
I would imagine.
So let's talk about another scary case. This one is concerns smart home hacks, people's homes being hacked. So there's a story. The story comes out of Milwaukee, and this is from 2019. So it's a bit ago. Okay. But it's still interesting at the time. So this couple said that their home was hacked. Their smart camera started talking to them, or someone started talking to them through it. And their thermostat was raised to 90 degrees. They had installed a Nest camera, like just a standalone camera, a Nest doorbell, and a Nest thermostat in their home in 2018. And then they one day they came home and they found the temperature was at 90 degrees. Then someone started talking to them through their Nest camera, and so other things like that. And they got freaked out, of course. I unplugged the camera, she says, and turned it to face the ceiling. If you've unplugged it, you've probably taken the steps necessary. It's not possessed.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes it can feel that way, though, right?
It does. The couple whose home it was, they said that they believe that someone hacked into their Wi-Fi and then hacked into the Nest, and were blaming it on the Nest having poor security. But Google, which owns Nest, said no, Nest wasn't breached. The customers were using compromised passwords, exposed, like they were reusing passwords that had been broken in other breaches and were available online. And if they'd been using two-factor authentication and using secure passwords, this wouldn't have happened. What do you think of this one?
Two-factor authentication, man. That's
yes,
you need it, and and you pay attention to it too, because I have one right now that I've got a 2FA on, and it's been buzzing on me. So I know that one of my passwords is bad, and that means that I've got to go figure out where that password is and change it. But the 2FA keeps anybody from being able to get in. It lets me know that there's a problem, and they'll spoof IPs and addresses and things like that. So I can't figure out where they're coming from. But, and to be fair, there are some spots on the internet where I use less secure passwords, knowing that 2FA is there, and I don't really care about whatever they're trying to get into.
Right.
Anyway, it just tells me that somebody's doing something.
Right.
So, like a news website or games website or something like that.
I occasionally get emails from Facebook and Amazon telling me, here, click on this link to reset your password since you just asked us to do so.
Yep.
Yeah, don't click on those. So the big thing with this one is, just it can be very scary when your smart home stuff when it feels like someone has invaded. It feels like a violation, even more so than other types of IT hacking sort of things. This is your home. You should feel safe here. I mean, I don't have cameras inside my house apart from like the webcam and that sort of thing, but I don't have home security cameras on the inside when we're here. When we go away, I actually bring them out, set them up, and monitor the interior of the house. But I just don't like the idea of having, because you and I both know that a lot of especially inexpensive security stuff is made with off-the-shelf components with backdoors or poorly coded security stuff. So in this case, it's likely that it wasn't that somebody in the neighborhood saw that they had a open Wi. They probably didn't have good Wi-Fi security.
And that's almost certainly what it was. Is that somebody hopped on their Wi-Fi and then just surfed around until they found something they could use. But to be fair, too, like anytime you have things that are exposed to the internet, there is a way to find them. And it's not like somebody's searching for your thing particularly. They just grab a block of IP addresses and try and ping it. Yeah. And, the server that I have set up right now, it operates in a certain way, but I used to have a honeypot on it. Honeypot's the fancy term for a fake entry point that someone can get into. They can mess around with it. It looks like a real computer, but it's not. And it just tracks everything they're doing. And typically you separate it out onto its own network so it can't get to any of your other stuff as well. And the amount of traffic I got on that thing without ever advertising my addresses or anything was incredible. And it was all just the preliminary poking at something. But that's how hackers find things that are interesting to hack, right? They just go out and they kind of prod around and just search. and they make programs to do it. So it's not uncommon to find something like that. And there's actually entire websites, and they're not as common anymore, but there are websites that were dedicated to just open cameras that people had in their house that were completely open to the internet, like not protected at all. They just had an IP address attached to them, and they send out a different kind of signal than some of the other things that are available. They use a dedicated port, typically. That's a common port, so that a hacker can go through and just run a whole string of IP addresses looking for a particular port number at the end of that. And when they find that, they're like, okay, that's a camera. And they know it because it's the only thing that uses that, and it's the particular protocol for that camera. So you want to do a little bit of diligence in protecting yourself. And like you said, don't have cameras inside your house if you don't need them for some reason. And if you do have them inside of your house, make sure that you're protecting them. Make sure that you have them on a separate network from your network. If you have a router of any kind, normally you can do what's called a virtual network, and you can split out so that you have like an IoT network and then your actual Wi-Fi system that you're using for your house.
Sometimes called a guest network.
Exactly. Yeah.
And what it does is it separates everything on that network, can't access anything on the other network. So presumably your phones, your computers, your important stuff is on your main network, and all this Internet of Things stuff is on this other network that you would let your guests use. That's the idea originally behind it. And the other thing is that, in recent years, a lot of the smart home companies have been getting better about, because a lot of these stories come out, encrypting the feeds, double encryption, so that, people can't, just pick up the feed. Even if the feed is accessible, it's encrypted. They can't see what's on it. They can't look at the data. We'll also have an article from NordVPN, which talks about Ring and its historic security issues, their Ring doorbells, Ring cameras, and where they are today. And so basically it asks, can Ring devices be hacked? And they said since September of 2022, so not that long ago, Ring finally rolled out end-to-end encryption for all their devices. So if you have Ring devices, and I have a few that are a little older than that, so I should make sure that they're doing end-to-end, that their firmware has been updated to make it end-to-end encrypted. And they offer, some tips on they walk you through how to turn off the Ring camera, the Ring doorbell camera itself, which kind of takes away some of the utility of it. I mean, if you're going to buy the thing, you kind of want it because you want to look at the camera. Ring motion alerts, but how to keep it from getting hacked. So they talk about the guest network, the IoT network. They strong passwords for all your devices. That's a very big one. Use a password manager, make secure passwords, use two-factor authentication, all those things. For your security stuff, and that's what cameras and doorbells are all about, you should be using the strongest security, to secure that.
Yeah, there's no question there.
Yeah. Like it'd be like having putting a big safe in your home to put all your valuables in and making the password 1234.
Right.
Not very secure.
Exactly.
They talk about using firewalls and antivirus software. That's good. I'm not sure they make firewalls and antivirus software and VPN, so they're going to suggest that. Those are good things to have, and they will stop things like malware and whatnot, which can then take advantage of flaws in the security of your security system. So yeah, that's true. Keep your Ring software up to date, and that means not just the app on your phone, but the firmware in the devices themselves. Right. So that's important. One thing they mentioned, though, was don't keep old footage. Delete old videos from your devices. And I never thought of that. They said that old footage gives the hacker more information about you in case of a breach.
Yeah. And you don't think about it, but if everything's timestamped and you've got a motion sensor and it looks at your driveway, the hacker now has a whole lot of information about when you came and left. And if you aren't deleting those, that they're seeing, okay, on Thursday, they are always out for 2 hours. That if it's part of a criminal enterprise and they want to know when they can get into your house and nobody's there,
right?
All the cars are gone on Thursday afternoon from 5 to 7 p.m. And that's a regular thing that they can clock pretty well all the way back.
That's a good point. I wish there was a way in the Ring software, and maybe other systems have it, to automatically delete anything older than a certain period of time. I mean, sometimes it's useful to be able to look back and say, hey, one of my kids will leave something in the backyard. When were they in that part of the backyard last? And I can look back through the footage and go, oh, you left it there on Thursday. Did you leave? Is it over there in the corner? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's where it is. That sort of thing can be useful. Or, something went missing. When did it go missing? Oh, and I can scroll back. But a month maybe is a month too much to keep? Is it too little to keep? That's the thing. I think it'll be different for everybody.
Yeah, but it's a tricky balance. And how much work do you want to put into it too? Like if it's something that you have to manually do, that's a lot. And which I totally understand, and I totally understand not wanting to just make sure your passwords are secure.
Yeah.
But the less information that you can leave out there for people to find, the better off you are.
Here's an interesting philosophical question. Is all this home security cameras and all that stuff? We never had that when I was a kid. I mean, I know some people had home security when I was a kid, but most people didn't have this stuff. Are we being too paranoid? Are we really that at risk?
That's it. I don't think so. I don't feel like it. I will admit that I have exterior cameras for my house. And but it came in the package, and I was like really into like the smart home thing. So I was really interested in doing it. But now that I'm like, I never use it, honestly. And except like in very rare occasions where it's like, okay, well, let's see, who was the last one to pull in, and where did they drop, did they drop something when they were coming inside? But I can just walk outside and look too. So it's not like it's saving me that much time. It's just kind of a geeky thing that I can be able to look back at.
I tell you, one of the things I wanted, and one of the reasons I got the Echo one with the screen was because I wanted to be able to say, Echo, show me the doorbell, show me the front door. And so that when someone's at the door, it could pop up quickly. I can see who it is, and then I can get rid of them, which is probably what I want to do anyway, right? Except it's so slow. It takes forever. By the time it comes up, the person's gone.
Exactly.
Probably just as well. But it's like it doesn't work as well enough to make it useful in that circumstance. And I know my Ring cameras are old. They're expensive, so I don't want to replace them.
Right.
But the video quality, especially at night, is so poor. I don't even know what I'm looking at. It's blobs,
You're right.
So someone could be breaking into my car. I'll never know. I wonder if it's just making us paranoid, that sort of thing.
I feel like to some extent it is. Now I will say I do like my doorbell camera, and it's been very useful for me. We have ours through like an alarm system. So I have an app that attaches to the alarm system. It connects all of these things together kind of in one central place. It's fantastic. It's responsive. So if somebody rings the doorbell, I can click the button and it pulls up almost immediately and has the person there. I can talk to them if I need to. I can tell them I'm coming down. And, if I'm up here working and they ring the doorbell and nobody else is home, it's going to take me a minute to get down there, and I don't want them to feel like, they're just sitting there like, no, maybe nobody is home, and I should just go off and do something else. So that is pretty nice. So there's some convenience to it, but at the same time, it really is just, it's a lot of overkill. And for all the good that it has done, I don't know that it's better than not having it, honestly.
Right. And all of my stuff has batteries. So I'm always having to, like, once a month or every other month, I have to climb up on a ladder and change the batteries out. And I fantasize about the day where I can just plug, wire it in and not have to deal with it. But that's a whole nother level of expense.
That's a different. Yeah, I've got two of those. The ones that I have, they had to drill a hole through the wall and plug it in. But it takes up an outlet. It's like, what's an outlet that I could have used for something else?
Exactly. I have to. We'll move on in a minute. But one thing I want to do is I want to look at doorbells and see which ones are the most responsive. Right, like Google Nest doorbell, the Ring doorbells, the newer ones. Which ones are? See if anybody has done any testing to see which ones are more responsive, which are faster. Because mine is fairly old, so it's probably worth looking at a replacement.
Yeah, I would say that'd be a good one to review in a future episode.
maybe do an episode. All right, so let's move on to our third spooky Halloween scary tech story. This one involves another healthcare breach, but this one is slightly different. There's a company called or a firm called Vastaamo. It's in Finland. And these Scandinavian data breaches. So actually, Ireland isn't Scandinavia. But the Vastaamo was a psychotherapy practice, and in October of 2020, their patient database was hacked, and private therapy records for 36,000 patients were leaked. They tried to extort the firm first, and they weren't going for it. So the hackers started contacting the patients and threatening to publish sensitive therapy session information online, or their sensitive mental health information online, unless they paid up. Eventually, they did actually catch the hackers. This was not a mastermind criminal gang, but
one guy.
It was one guy, 25-year-old guy from Finnish guy, but he was living in Dubai at the time. It says he was a member of Lizard Squad, which is, I guess, a hacker collective, but not the same thing. Yeah,
not state sanctioned as far as I can tell.
Yeah, and not like a mafia, like a mafia mob. So yeah, he was convicted, but eventually released for some reason. He was released actually just this past September by the Finnish Court of Appeals, despite having been sentenced to 6 years in prison in April 2024. But in the same month, coincidentally, maybe not, Finnish prosecutors charged a 28-year-old American living in Estonia with aiding and abetting the extortion. So maybe he flipped for leniency.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly. I watch a lot of cop shows, so I know these things. What do you think of this one? This was slightly different from the Irish case.
It's brazen going after the patients themselves. That's something else.
Yeah, that's another level of
yeah.
I mean, imagine the fear that engenders. Like you when you're in therapy, you say things. You hopefully you are truthful and bare your heart to the therapist so you can get good help, and then now you have to worry about the things you said being published online. Mm-hmm. There's a hack that was going around a little while ago, which was basically not a hack. I'm sorry. It wasn't. It was a spam that was basically preying on fears of exposure, which was basically it said, "I've hacked your webcam. I have video of you doing things to certain kinds of websites, and if you don't pay up, I'm going to publish these photos to all the people in your contact and your address book." And it's basically putting the fact that it's known a certain percentage of people out there, probably high, are using these sites, and therefore they're likely to feel guilty and to worry about being exposed, and that's who they're hoping you're going to be. And that could be scary, especially if you're not sophisticated enough to understand how silly it's not silly. Someone could actually hack your system. It is possible. Yeah. So there could be a bit of fear in it. But it's that they're preying on the fear of the individual of having secrets exposed. And that just seems to be another level of ugh.
Yeah, it's really disturbing. And then the other side of that too, though, is be open about the things you are doing and it's good to have integrity, right?
Right.
About the things that you're doing when you are online, and this is not to say that I am some pristine angel from in the history of all things that I've done online and myself. It's just to say, don't cripple yourself with concern about the things that you are doing online, right?
By doing them.
Right? Yeah, by doing them. Yeah, exactly. Don't be doing things that are going to, that when they get to the light of day, it's going to be more than just, that was a dumb thing.
Right.
It's embarrassing. That's embarrassing information.
Right.
If it terrifies you enough that you're going to shell out a whole bunch of money to try and keep someone from talking about it. And then the other side of it too is realize that's blackmail, and blackmail never ends well. once you pay, they know they have you, and that you will always pay. Exactly.
Now these folks in Finland, they didn't do anything wrong. In fact, they were doing the right thing. They were going to their doctor and their therapist and getting help. And so it makes it even worse in that case, right? Because they hadn't done anything wrong, and this firm Vastamo had failed them. They had later on when they did the postmortem, they found out that they had very poor security practices. They didn't anonymize information. They didn't what was they said it specifically, the sorts of ways that they had failed in their there it is. The company, the sensitive data wasn't encrypted and anonymized. They didn't encrypt their patient data. The system root didn't have a defined password. That is like sysadmin 101 day one. Put a password on your root.
But it's a medical practice, and that's the thing is, be really, really careful. And this is something that I want to stress to everyone about this, because this is one that can be very concerning, and there's not much you can do about it, honestly, which is unfortunate. But if you work with an organization that you are going to give access to your medical records, do a little bit of checking, do a little bit of diligence about it. I've had friends that have organizations that handle like workers' comp claims and stuff like that, and they, by nature, what they do is they have to get access to medical records, and there are lots of ways that they can do that without following all of the same security protocols that even your medical provider does. So once you sign that line that says, yes, you have access to my things, you are really handing over that. You're handing over a lot of trust to that person. So it's best for you to ask about those things, to ask, okay, what's your security look like? Are you really handling this in a secure way? And be diligent about it. And it's unfortunate that we have to, but in a lot of cases we do. We have to take ownership of what of how the companies that we're interacting with store and track their information, at least in the sense that we have to ask that they have an IT person, right?
Right. Do
you have a cybersecurity specialist that works for your company?
What are your cybersecurity measures? Like, what kind of cybersecurity protocols do you have? Yeah, that's true. I mean, I almost feel like there should be required by law to publish, an audit of their cybersecurity. I mean, it is, in the U.S. we have laws, and in Europe they have laws too, the different ones. But we have HIPAA, which is supposed to protect our data. Like these, our medical providers are supposed to handle our sensitive information in particular ways, and if they don't, it's a big deal. So I think that's worthwhile to think of that. So
and if it's not mentioned, that's a red flag. If they don't mention anything about how they're protecting your data, that's definitely a red flag.
Or if they can't tell you or refuse to tell you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So those are 3 scary tech stories for as opposed to our usual scary tech stories that we handle. But for at least for Halloween, we had some scary tech stories. But hopefully also some good information for folks to think about and to take away from it. Because that's what's important, is that you take away good information, good understanding of how these things happen and how you can possibly prevent them in your own life. All right. So before we move on, I do want to take a moment now to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create The Secrets of Technology, including Theodore S., Ross N., Allison M., John, and Mary L. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue The Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So I want to start with the open source headline, by the way. We're going to talk about some headlines, and I feel like this is what I want to talk to you about because this is a good one. The headline is Why Open Source May Not Survive the Rise of Generative AI. And the article I thought was kind of fascinating. Some of it went over my head, so it's a little bit technical. I'm not an expert in open source software, but from what I understand, the thing that people are worried about is the free and open source movement, the open source software movement, relies on a chain of provenance of who made what, when, and under what conditions and restrictions. And that has worked so far. And it's remarkable how well this good faith communal effort has worked, because 90% of the internet runs on software created under these conditions. But with AI being used for more and more coding, AI just grabs code willy-nilly from here and there and doesn't maintain those chains to where the code came from. And so you can't have reliable, you can't trust that the code has come from a certain place, is being used the way it should, is the right code that is secure, as opposed to code that has been changed because it was insecure or whatever, or broken or whatever. And that is worrying people as more and more code is being written by AI. Is that a fair assessment of what the article says, or is there more?
Yeah, it's pretty close. It's interesting the direction they took with it, because they're trying to make the argument that open source isn't going to survive. And then they confuse whether or not it's because generative AI is just going to steal it all and use it, or whether it's because there's no ownership tracking. But the interesting thing is they present the actual problem with AI code directly in both of those, where it's great to say that AI code can just go rip every piece of open source stuff that's out there and try and make some approximation of it. But two problems arise. One, as soon as you start using open source code at enterprise scale, you realize that you have to do two things. One, you have to become involved in the community. And two, you have to dedicate a resource to learn the community, to become a professional in that community, and to actually dedicate themselves to committing to that software, as well as learning how to incorporate it into your systems. And that's not going to go away. Like that's actually, in my mind, that's open source is probably the safest piece against AI, because while it's available, your AI is going to make slop out of this stuff. And you're very quickly going to figure out that you can't do anything with it because there's no one there to fix it.
Right.
And you don't know who to go ask to fix it.
Right. When you're using whatever this AI is generated, like with open source, you can go to the original the people running the project and say, hey, I'm running this problem. What's going on here? And they can, oh, well, there's a bug in the code, or no, you're using it wrong, or whatever. You can't do that with AI. You can't go and say, you can ask it what's wrong here, and it will tell you some crazy thing that it hallucinated up, or maybe it'll tell you the right thing, but you just never know. One of the things that worries me about all this using AI to write code, that a lot of these companies have decided this is the future, is not only are we destroying the future of human programming because we're taking away all the entry level jobs, but the code is so, AI code is so dirty, is so sloppy that in not too long, probably well before they get AI to the sophistication where it isn't sloppy, we're going to have a lot of bad code out there. I just feel like there's going to be a decade of bad code, and then we're going to, in a couple years, we're going to all look back and go, wow, we really made a mess of the mass of computer programming, and we're going to have to fix all this. And in massive resources, and Amazon's going to have to hire back 10,000 people to fix their bad code.
And I sure hope that every single one of those guys goes, okay, 3 times the salary. Let's do it.
Right, exactly.
Because now not only am I fixing somebody else's problem, but I'm fixing a junk AI's problem. And companies are going to have to realize this. Like, it's not, I don't even think AI is a great tool to shortcut some things. It's fantastic at writing boilerplate code. So if you're a person who's getting into coding and you need to produce a project, if you're good at debugging, running to one of the code systems and just getting it to spit out junk that you can go, okay, I like that, don't like that, that's horrible, this is great, is really good. But I'm going to tell you, more time is spent there emptying out the code to get back to the point that you want it to actually function, then really is worth it. I've done a lot of this, right? and it's great at first. You feel like, oh man, that's awesome. I just got 150 lines of code done in 5 minutes, and then you look at the 150 lines of code and you're like, actually, this is maybe 10, and I probably could have written it faster myself if I had just started it and not, But it gets. It greases the wheels, which is great. So it's a nice side-by-side tool, and that's why I don't think that open source software. And if you've ever contributed to open source software, the community is wonderful and harsh both at the same time. So anytime you put back into the community, they are very, very demanding that it follows certain patterns, that it have a certain feel, that it fits the original intent of whatever you're writing for. And AI just doesn't do that. AI will not do that. You can ask it 100 times with the best prompts, and it's still not going to be able to keep that flair that made that open source software what it is. Right.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking of the Jonathan Colton song about the code monkey. Your code is neither elegant. I was trying to think of the line. Your code isn't elegant or something or other. The login code, and it's it's AI is not elegant code. It is just brute force slop. Okay, so let's talk about another headline. This one from Apple or about Apple, but it's from TechCrunch. Apple prepares to comply with Texas age assurance law, but warns of privacy risks. So a number of states have started passing their own laws about protecting children from being exposed to things in tech. And the Texas has a new law which requires app stores and app developers to the best way to put it is try to implement controls so that parents can control what children, minors, are accessing as far as apps. The way that Apple is looking at it is they're going to be doing the age verification and assurance by requiring, as of January 1st, and I think they're only going to require this in Texas to start with, that whether they're going to confirm whether Texas users are 18 years or older, and those under 18 will be required to join a family sharing group managed by parents or guardians. Then the parents and guardians will have to provide consent for all of the minors' App Store downloads, purchases, and transactions using Apple's existing in-app purchase system. Great. But Apple says, hey, this means we're going to have to be collecting all kinds of personally identifiable information about every single person in Texas that uses our system, and we're going to have to be responsible for that. So that's potentially a privacy problem. Potentially.
It's a huge privacy problem, in my opinion. These things are awful.
I have an objection to this one, which is if this applied to me, if I lived in Texas, I have 5 children, not 6. I know how many children I have. I have 5 children. You can have no more than 6 people in a family sharing group. My youngest is off on an island. She's not part of the family sharing. Okay, yep. Apple, what do we do
now?
Yeah. You either change the thing, or I would prefer expand family sharing to include all members of the family. Why not?
Let's do both. Let's not do this.
Let's not
and
do this.
Let's have
Right.
and let's have
Right.
family sharing expanded. With
Yes.
8 kids, that's a constant problem. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Right. You get it worse than I do.
And it's like, and I would pay extra. In all honesty, I would pay extra for that feature. Like with our Spotify account, right? I can only have a certain number of people join onto my family account, and I've got many kids. Like I even just it's infuriating because all of my kids that have phones have a Spotify account, and so my Spotify account is used by the lady downstairs when they are querying her for songs. So my Spotify account is like half bluey, half prog rock, and it's it's annoying.
I actually finally moved my daughter from my Apple Music account to my eldest's Apple Music account because their musical tastes are similar. But I'm still getting the recommendations when it's like, hey, try this, like all of this online stuff, like. What do I get? Gideon, the couple, some of these weird music. I'm like, stop recommending this to me. Yeah. So I can sympathize. I mean, as far as this goes, if I agree with the idea that we need to give parents tools to protect their kids. I agree with that. I don't know that this is the way to do it.
It needs to rest with the parents and the individuals, or with an independent entity like the government that has this information anyway, right?
Right.
And if anybody's looking for $1 billion startup, I've got it here. I just don't have the gumption to get it started. I've got too much stuff going on in my life. But a real ID system that is owned by the person, and all of these companies have to plug into that person's information to get a validation. So you would have all of your state licensed information. It would validate what age you were, and then it would share a token with these companies that would say you are of this age to be able to view this information. And it would be just like an app that lives on your device that you plug all this information into. If you're a parent and you have a kid, you give them a limited access version of this, and the token just goes out and says that they're this age. It doesn't even say which age; it just says what bracket they're in, to kind of keep it limited. But you, as the individual, own the information, or this security, like LastPass, an organization like that, where it's very secure. Like the whole purpose of it is designed around security. So you get a really good cybersecurity team, and you maintain this information. And all you do is just send out tokens that say what, the token includes what range of ages these things that people can access. I would love something like that. I would love that to also be something where I can request a ride, and then Uber, Lyft, the local taxi service, and whatever else can query me and send me a request to pick up the ride. And then they're in competition with each other instead of me trying to, be on their system and stuck to whatever rates they're making.
Right.
It's
there was a few years ago, before the rise of OAuth and some of these distributed, there was a digital, like a distributed digital identification system, like an open source kind of blockchain-y thing. I'm trying to remember what it was, but it sort of promised this idea of like a way to have verified identification system for individuals online that wasn't government and wasn't corporate, but was distributed. I don't remember what it's called.
I don't remember what it was called. I know the one you're talking about. Yeah. We'll find it. We'll figure it out.
And someone will let us know if you remember. Yeah. Let us know. The problem was that it was too complicated to use. It was like a domain name system for people, basically. Yeah.
And we need something like that, but we need it simple. It needs to be something that an average person. And I think with the way that smartphones have gotten now, it should be doable. It really should not be that wildly complicated.
Right. Especially now that we have like the biometric identification on phones, like this is the whole thing we use with 2-factor and passkeys. I mean, it could be a combination of passkeys and blockchain, something like that.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a whole bunch of ideas. So if anybody wants to talk to me about it, I can send you some concepts.
Want to get in on that. Yeah. All right. So one final headline. GM, the CEO of GM, has announced that not only are they going to be getting rid of CarPlay and Android Auto in their electric vehicles, something that they'd already announced, they're also going to do it in all their vehicles, all their gas and electric vehicles, probably starting in 2028 when their new centralized computing platform launches across their entire lines. None of the other car makers have gone so far as this. I mean, Tesla already doesn't do Tesla and Rivian don't do CarPlay or Android Auto either. But none of the majors like Ford or Hyundai or Toyota, none of them have followed suit. But this is kind of interesting. Basically the GM CEO said, when you read between the lines, is saying we don't want to give up control to third parties, the smartphone companies. We want to maintain control. And to me, given that the trend in the automotive industry, this is about subscription revenue. This is about money. They want 100%. to be able to make you subscribed to use their infotainment system. What do you think of all this? Will you buy a car that didn't have CarPlay or Android Auto?
I hate it all. So I get in so many fights with my Google system while I'm driving anyway that I've dropped back in a lot of ways to just not using it if I can avoid it. Okay. I don't. All my cars are too old to have it, so I have Bluetooth and I hate it. We have one that worked for a little bit. It was great. I enjoyed what it was able to do because it could pop up, like if I got a text, it could pop up the text alongside the map that was there. I had full access to my my playlist and all this kind of stuff. And then for whatever reason, it just stopped working. And then that's more frustrating to me than anything. And I definitely don't want to pay another subscription to have a cheap knockoff, because that's all this is. That's all it's ever going to be, is a cheap knockoff of your phone.
Right. And so all of my playlists, all of my podcasts, all of the stuff, I'm going to have to duplicate it in the car, like separately. And am I going to have to sign into my Apple Music account on the car? Like, why? It's already on my phone, which is right here with me all the time. I don't want like I said, I don't have CarPlay now, but I will not buy a car without it in the future, because I find using the dongles and the Bluetooth or whatever, all that stuff, to be such a hassle. I just want to have something that's simple and straightforward. And that means CarPlay. From what I've heard I've never heard anyone complain about CarPlay. Maybe people do have problems with it, but it just indicates to me more of this. It's probably just another part of the service revenue, subscription revenue push that a lot of companies are doing, which Apple's doing too, which I don't like that they're doing it. There was a cases, the AWS outage this past week, for everyone, I'm sure listening knows that part of Amazon's infrastructure on the East Coast went down that runs a bunch of stuff, websites, services, etc. There's one service, a smart bed, a very expensive smart bed that has a $200 a month subscription, and apparently uploads like 20 gigs of data a month, or like some crazy amount of data. It's a very suspicious amount of data, but that's not really relevant to the main thing, which basically there's a subscription, right? And there's something in the way that the bed works where the subscription, whereas if it loses contact with the server, like you've disconnected it from the server or from the internet, it assumes that you are trying to use its service, the bed, without paying for the subscription. And so the bed sits up so that you can't sleep
Wakes
on
you
it.
up.
So the outage was in the middle of the night.
It was at 3 a.m. Yeah.
So all these people who had paid, stupid enough to buy this bed, in the middle of the night got sit up straight.
Just desserts, I say.
Yes,
but,
yes. If you're dumb enough to buy that bed.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. So there's just, again, another reason why subscriptions are really bad.
It's all this effort to lock everybody into your environment, right? Because as soon as you get a GM car and you've got everything set up, they're going to say, well, when you're ready to turn this car in and you buy another one, all of this stuff just rolls right over to your other one.
Right. They'll say it and it won't, by the way.
Oh, it won't. It never will.
It won't work correctly.
That's the other side of it, right?
You're going to lose your data. Oh, man. All right. So those are our headlines. Let's move on to our picks of the week. And I'll let you go first. Thomas, what's your pick this week?
All right. So my pick this week is a fun little app that can save you some money on some food. It's called Too Good to Go. And it is an app that's based around the fact that restaurants and diners and grocery stores have stuff to get rid of. And they, rather than throwing it away, they would like to hand it to someone. And if they can make a little bit of money off of it as they're doing that, that's even better. And what this app is you register on this app, you give it your general location, and it finds any vendors in the location that are getting rid of things in the next couple of days. And you select those vendors and you say, I would like to go get something from here. You have no real control over what you get, except that you're going to a particular location. So if you're going to like a Japanese restaurant, you're getting whatever they weren't able to sell all of that evening. And you just get it in a box and you walk out with it. Dirt cheap, but the fresh food that they had made that evening that they didn't end up, selling, or for whatever, they just had surplus in the kitchen for it. This thing has been fantastic. It's you just go on the app, Too Good to Go. You find something near you. It has weird pickup times sometimes because it's like, the end of a shift or, the beginning of a shift before they get started with the day to do pickups. So you have to be a little bit conscious of that. It feels very sketchy the first couple of times you do it because first off, the app, don't use the app for the address, like try and find the address and then put it in your Google Maps, because otherwise it'll send you to like the back of the store for some reason in some cases.
Yeah.
But you like walk in and you like walk up to the person at the front desk and you're like, I'm here for the Too Good to Go pickup. And they're like, oh, okay, have a seat. We'll get to you in a minute. And then, they'll have other customers coming in. And then the next, a little bit later, they'll go, here's your stuff. And they just hand you a bag of stuff. And like, there's no questions about what it is. It's just, here's some leftovers, right? Take it home. Do what you will with it. But we've gotten some great stuff from it. I think our best is probably like one of the sub shops near us. We've gone back a couple of times for this one. We get like 12 loaves of their sub bread, and it's stuff that they couldn't use. It's from the day before, so it's not super fresh, but it's fresh enough for us to just hack open and make a sandwich out of. And if you toast it up, it's even better.
Right. That sounds really interesting. Like, so I looked up like my area, and so, there's like a Jamaican restaurant, there's a bakery, there's a bunch of Whole Foods. So Whole Foods apparently does it. And pizza places and stuff like that. And so, Panera. So it's, you get like Whole Foods will have, they separate around like frozen foods, dry grocery, meat bag.
Yep.
Like a bender. But others, most of it's just like surprise bag, like it's whatever it is. And like the bakery is like collected tomorrow between 7:30 and 8 p.m. and it's $6 and you get a bag of stuff.
Exactly. And it'll tell you generally what you're going to get. So it's not like you're getting like a total surprise, and none of what you're getting is junk. It is genuinely stuff like you can rate the pickup experience too. So if you do end up with junk, definitely rate the person poorly, because they don't need to be using the app. They don't understand what it's for. But we went to a Japanese restaurant near here, and for half of what a single meal would have cost, we had probably 4 people's worth of food in it, and it was a variety of stuff. So it was some sushi, and then it was some of the hibachi grill stuff, and so it was really good. Like, and you're not going to get full meals out of it normally, but just for kind of like appetizers or a grab bag of stuff for people to hang out and just snack on late at night, it is really, really spot on. And you're doing the added benefit of keeping stuff from going to the waste. Right,
keeping it out of the trash. Which is, anyone who's worked in restaurants or grocery stores or anything like that has seen how awful it is. And, sometimes employees would get to be able to take it home at the time, but you can only take so much of your own store stuff home anyway. Right. But yeah, I think anything that diverts food from the trash is great. It's just, it's interesting. I was thinking, if you're a young single person or just, young person living with some roommates on your own, for, just out of college or in college even, it could be a great way of just, especially if you're not very discerning and like you're willing to eat whatever, essentially.
Exactly.
That sounds, my son eats like a vacuum, like he's just constantly eating.
Some of it too, if you want to sample, if you've ever been in a restaurant, you're like, man, I'd like a little bit of everything. This can be a really great way to get a little bit of everything, because you go in and it's whatever's left over, and it can be a pretty wide variety of stuff.
Yeah, again, I've worked in restaurants, and there's often a lot of good stuff left over. At the end of the day, that we're like, well, we can't use this tomorrow. We've already saved it from yesterday. You can only save it over so many times. We have to just go dump this in the dumpster. It's like, oh man, this is such good sauce or whatever. Yeah. Oh, it's good. I'll have to see. It's not going to be great everywhere, I think. The coverage will vary from place to place, but
it'll definitely depend on your area. But
it's international. I know Father Roderick uses this over in the Netherlands. So
we were recommended from a Canadian couple.
Okay. Oh, I think I know the Canadian couple.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right, so my pick this week is something for you Apple folks. If you use Apple Notes, especially on your Mac, this isn't for like a Apple Notes on your phone or iPad, but it's an extension for Apple Notes called Pro Notes. And what it does is it adds functionality to Apple Notes, Apple Notes is fine. It's gotten better in recent years. It's getting some added features, but one of the things I've always felt like it needed was better tools for formatting, and especially for Markdown. I love Markdown. I've used it for years. Markdown is a way of formatting text by writing without clicking buttons and that sort of stuff, or using keyboard controls. So like you can make a title by typing hashtag space, and makes the whatever falls into the title, that sort of thing. They have a limited set of Markdown. It's not the complete Markdown. It doesn't do like bold and italics, but you can create bullet lists and styling blocks and checklists and that sort of stuff with it. It has slash commands to create to create some of its lists, which is really interesting. So you just like slash and like table, and it will create a table. And then it has templates, which I'm really fascinated by, because I do all my show notes, my scripts, in Apple Notes, and I use Text Expander to paste in the stuff that I say the same every time, and I just add the new information. But if I could do templates right inside it would make it a lot more reliable, I think, or it might make it more reliable. I haven't used the templates yet, but I'm going to give that a try. And so the templates, you just like slash and then whatever the template name is, and it will create the note for you. So Apple Notes is a really, I think, underrated tool for text. I think I'm seeing more and more people using it for keeping data, sharing notes with their spouse. That's another thing, like grocery lists, or information on the electrician, or that's sort of here are the serial numbers for all the appliances, that sort of stuff, because you can sync and share it. So this makes it nicer. And then the other thing it does is it has a formatting bar. So when you select some text, a bar pops up, and you can select, italics and bold and, type size and all that sort of stuff from it. There's, as like everything else, it has an AI thing in it, but I don't care about. I don't want. I guess you can highlight something and ask AI, and it will give you information on whatever you highlighted, which is fine, I suppose.
It's cool for anybody who uses notes but hates getting notes because they can't stand trying to parse through just a wall of text. So
yes, right,
a little bit of space between the two of them.
Yes. So when you're writing your official social media apology as a celebrity, because you ever notice they're all written in Apple Notes, you can use this to help you write it.
There you go.
And it's free. Well, let me see. Let me just double check. It's basic free. The AI stuff is $8 a month, which, as you suspect from what I said, I'm using the
So it's free.
it's free essentially. They're adding features and stuff, so maybe that would become worthwhile. I mean, I'd love to. I might give them some money just to support them. $8 a month is a lot for a tool like this, so it would have to be some pretty substantial additional features from my point of view. All right, so
for the days when we had a flat fee.
Remember shareware?
All right.
I remember those days. So that's it for our picks of the week, and that's it for our show. We would love to get your feedback on anything we talked about this time, which you can do by going to the show at sqpn.com/technology or the StarQuest Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. Send an email to technology@sqpn.com. Visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord, or you can find our links from our discussion and our picks of the week on our show notes at starquest.fm/TEC320. Do us a favor, write a review of the show in Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast from, or give a rating or whatever you can do to help us spread the word. And of course, share the podcast with your friends. This is a show not just for tech geeks. I want it to be accessible to everyone who's interested in technology topics and wanting to use their tech better and approach it from a particularly Catholic point of view. So please let other people know about it. And until next time, Thomas Sanjurjo, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
It's been great.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Technology on StarQuest. Here's another show on the StarQuest network you're sure to enjoy, The Secrets of Star Trek. Find it wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/Star Trek.